I left with the knowledge that we are not this material body. And life, is an illusion. Hey, how can that be so, right? How does that make any sense? But let me ask you this. If I said, what's this? You'd be like, it's my hand. It's my head. It's my chest. This is my foot. But where are you? I'm not the body. I could say, are you your leg? You could show me your leg. You could show me your hand. You could show me your arm. Show me your fingers. Show me your head. Show me your eyes. But where are you? Are you the sum of all your parts? No, of course not. Obviously, you see these things, you can feel them, touch them. You think it's not an illusion. It's really happening. It's really here in front of me. It's a table. This is a computer. Hat, scarf, body. This is my body. It's not an illusion. It's real. If I pinch myself, I feel pain. If my heart breaks, I feel pain. So how can this not be real? This is one of the real truths in life. And the truth is that we are not this body, that we are a spirit soul. By saying that we are not this body and that we're a spirit soul begs the question, what is the spirit soul? The spirit soul is part and parcel of God. Same in quality, but less in quantity. Just minute quantities. God is unlimited quantities. And you might say unlimited quantities of what? Eternal, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. Those three things. Those three things the soul has. And when it strays away from the source, from God's place, God's dwelling, and takes this material identity. When we get to this human stage of life, we can actually realize this. No other animal can really realize this. But once we're at this stage, we can start to fulfill the same desires that we have in the spiritual world. These three things man struggles for in this material world. We struggle to try to be the smartest, try to gain as much knowledge as we can. We're not going to live forever, but we try to, we try to be eternal in our ways, in our legacies, in our, even in our bodies, health and science and stuff like that is trying to live forever. And we're trying to be happy all the time. We're struggling for bliss, We're suffering for bliss. We struggle for it, man. People do things like drugs and alcohol and overeat, overindulge, and buy things. One reason why people work for money is so they can afford a life that makes them happy, so they can have bliss. But you already got it. It doesn't cost a dime. And you're not going to live forever, not in this material body. You want to be as healthy as you can be, follow proper livity, exercise and diet. You'll live as long as you can properly, healthily. As far as knowledge goes, I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My guru, my spiritual master, opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. That's why as a baby you don't know nothing. Your parents are the first gurus, and parents are the first ones to teach you. Then you get pushed off to school and crash in these schools. And there will be the next ones to be your gurus. They're going to teach you, And they usually neglect to teach you of the fundamental eternal truth, which is, that we're not these bodies, that we're a soul in the body. The body has no value once the soul leaves it. Stool. Somehow you can make it work when you're alive, when the soul is maintaining this body with life. We identify with this material body because its suffering bonds us to it. One of the first things when we're born is we start to cry, because you're cold. You're in this nice warm spot. Come out now, and you're instantly suffering. You're cold. You're getting manhandled by doctors and nurses and midwives or whoever. However gentle as they try to be, it's not as gentle as where you are. You're hungry, Hey, the light hurts your eyes. The air hurts your skin. Noise hurts your ears. It's fascinating, it's a fascinating experience being born. And that suffering bonds us to this material nature right away. And there's three modes to this material nature that we tend to get caught in the cycles of, depending upon, how we progress. But the three modes of material nature are the mode of passion, and ignorance, and goodness. The mode of ignorance is the base animal urges that any animal has. Any soul that comes in contact with material nature takes a form to how do a soul wants to enjoy, in this material world. And according to the modes of material nature, they're given a body to, suss out what you want to do. Every animal, before we attain the human form of life, through reincarnation, fish, jellyfish, your tree, your frog, a lion, a tiger. We were everything, all the way up until, we decided that not for us. And eventually, when you were awarded the human form of life, it gives you a chance for self-realization where once you realize who and what you really are, it's not long before you decide that this place is not really where you want to be anymore. And you want to head back off to the spiritual world, back to our permanent nature. Because like I said, the symptoms of the soul is it is eternal. It doesn't die when the body dies. It's not slain when the body's slain. It can't be burned. It can't be crushed. Sway over your soul in order to affect your material life now. Because what's happening to your soul is you're putting dust on the mirror. Until you wipe that dust away, the soul is constantly being covered by the illusion of life, the illusion of the suffering that the body is going through. The body that you are not. It's a temporary thing. So we know this because the one thing that everything body human, death is our constant companion. It's our definite fear. It's the one thing that drives our paranoias, and our phobias and our fears is the fear of death, the fear of walking outside and getting hit by a bus or shot or killed or raped or stabbed or, mistreated in some way, that cause us physical harm, psychological harm. But the physical harm starts off. The psychological harm is the psychological fear of death, the looming fear of death, and how it's lauded about by people that want to use you or your short material lifespan in order to enrich their material lifespan. Limited lifespan, mind you. Mainly it comes down to, you can't take it with you. So now we got another fear, the fear of having kids and having a family, trying to get it all together before you die so they can have a good life. But unless you even teach your kids about who they really are and how they're not the body and how their soul has a completely different set of karma maybe than what you have to go through. You're never going to be able to prepare your kids wholeheartedly for what they have to go through in life because you don't know what they have to go through in life. You don't know their karma from when they're born. All you can do as a parent is teach your kids, prepare for the karma that if it hasn't already come, that it's coming. Every action, that you have is going to have a reaction. If you do good things will happen. If you do bad things will happen. Well, when we're born, we don't know what our karma is built up. It's built up to a point where, you are put into the situations and meant to deal with them the best you can in order to, test you trial by fire. And there's levels to that. There's levels to everything. Circles within circles, like ripples in a pond, The biggest splash makes the loudest ripple, We're all just surfing that wave. Even when I've always had this knowledge, I've always ignored the action that it takes. Every knowledge is fine, but if you don't apply that knowledge, then there's no point to knowing it, What's it going to do? You must apply this knowledge. It took me so long to just figure out the proper way to live, Like my guru says, when we talk about the modes of material nature, the modes of ignorance is the lowest form, The mode of passion is the second tier up, you know. It's still materially driven, but it's more, you understand that you're doing things with more enthusiasm, you know, more driven. You're more driven, you know. Now it depends on what you're driven. Now the top mode is the mode, what they call the mode of goodness, when you're spiritually motivated for everything, you know. But these three things are like levels. They're always going up and down, you know. Some things you do are you act in a goodness, passion, ignorance, you know. You want to keep your ignorance low and your goodness high, but there's no escaping it. If you those three things, you're going to be juggling until death. You know, my guru told me if I avoid four things and do one thing, my life will be successful. How I've rebelled against these four little things, and you know how they till I surrendered to them. I can honestly say how blissful I feel my life has been. And they're not secret things, and they're hard things if you're just so attached to material pleasure, you know, which is not the aim of life. Every animal eats, sleeps, mates, and defends. And if you sleep in a field or under a tree, you know, as an animal, or if you sleep in a bed and on a memory foam mattress, it's no difference. You're sleeping. Whether you're eating banquets and feasts, and cooked up animals, and raising animals for food, and, you know, or you're in the jungle eating what God gives, then no difference. You're eating, you're sleeping, you're mating, you're defending. Whether you're defending with teeth and claws, or whether you're defending with an atom bomb or a machine gun, you know, or if you're defending with your sarcasms or your walls that we build up, you know, in life to protect us from death, which death's going to come. Can't stop it. That's the one. There's another truth in material life. Everything that's material is going to die. This building I'm sitting in is going to crumble away to dust eventually. Obviously, this body's not going to last for 100 years if you're lucky. You know, what are you clinging to? You know, seek that which is eternal. You know, seek that which never goes away. You want to be happy forever. You're not going to drink yourself into happiness forever. You're going to drink yourself into a fucking sick liver or a sick body. You know, sick constitution. You know, you're going to drug yourself into happiness. You're not going to eat yourself into happiness. You know, but one thing that's eternally happy is your soul, the knowledge of self, God. You know, that is eternally blissful. And so if you can tap into that, if you can dovetail your actions with you know, your material actions with the God-centered actions, then, you know, your life will become successful. You'll be able to dovetail in a good way, rather than dovetailing your animal urges with, you know, your material actions. And then, you know, you're going to be always left disappointed, because all your material urges are going to eventually fail you. They're going to bring you limited happiness, and then you're going to be sick. It's kind of similar to like alcohol. It's going to bring you a minute of happiness, a second of drunken, you know, whirlwind, and then you're left ultimately with a hangover and shits. This book here by Srila Prabhupada called The Science of Self-Realization. I guarantee you, this book, you get this book, you know, you'll be okay. It'll answer all your questions, and it'll explain it to you in a way that if you don't really understand Vedic philosophy or just God consciousness, how is this a science and not just a religion? You know, religion has so many connotations nowadays. This is explained the scientific, you know, gets to the truth, hard than that.